Oh, Amelia's little hobby. Aunt Carol chuckled, the clinking of silverware the soundtrack to my humiliation. My stomach dropped as I sat at the over-polished mahogany table in Jason's family's opulent dining room, the scent of pot roast heavy in the air. Outside, a perfect suburban tableau unfolded, manicured lawns reflecting the setting sun. My hands trembled, but inside I was screaming. A text blinked on my phone. Carmichael Creative just landed the Peterson account. A small victory, a secret power. I smiled, a delicate mask over the years of dismissal. Jason squeezed my hand, oblivious. Just needs a good husband to take care of her. Ever felt unseen, like your worth's ignored? Then you have to stick around, subscribe, and find out how Amelia flips the script. Trust me, the payoff's sweet. You won't miss it. It began subtly. Christmas, 2015. Jason received a brand new, gleaming set of golf clubs, a small fortune wrapped in shiny paper. I, on the other hand, received a generic gift certificate to a chain restaurant, Aunt Carol proclaiming, "Just something practical, dear." I forced a smile, clutching the flimsy paper, the artificial scent of pine needles stinging my nostrils. "It's perfect," I lied, the words tasting like ash. My consultancy started small, a desperate attempt to use my marketing degree, but Jason dismissed my early efforts as cute hobbies. He would lounge on the couch watching sports, while I worked late into the night, fueled by instant coffee and relentless determination. "Why don't you just relax?" he'd ask, patting the cushion beside him, his voice thick with condescension. I never revealed the hours I spent networking, the proposals I wrote, the deals I closed. Each rejection was a sting, each small victory a private celebration. Then came the Peterson deal, a major tech company, a six-figure contract. Jason, oblivious to its scale, actively discouraged me from attending the celebratory dinner hosted by the company. "It's right before the wedding," he whined. "We need to finalize the seating chart." I swallowed my anger, a familiar knot forming in my stomach. "Of course, darling," I said, my voice carefully neutral. But in my heart, a quiet rebellion was brewing. I had chosen that day to value my own ambition. That day, the future began. The Carmichael Creative empire grew, brick by silent brick. I rented a small, nondescript office space downtown, far from the prying eyes of Jason's social circle. Inside, it was a hive of activity, buzzing with the energy of my small but dedicated team. We landed contract after contract, each success fueling my determination, creating a shield against the constant dismissal. I funneled profits into a trust, a secret fortress protecting my growing wealth. Jason, meanwhile, remained blissfully unaware, content in his ignorance. He would complain about Sterling Ventures' latest marketing blunder, never suspecting that the campaign was orchestrated by Carmichael Creative. I would offer bland platitudes, hiding my amusement behind a polite smile. The irony was a bitter pill, but I swallowed it, knowing that my time would come. Living a double life wasn't easy. My grandmother's old house, with its creaky floors and faded wallpaper, felt increasingly like a prison. The drafty windows rattled in the wind, the scent of mothballs clinging to the air. In those moments I questioned my choices, wondering if the price of my secret success was too high. No peace, no rest, no genuine joy. Then Chloe's accident happened. The phone call came late at night, her voice choked with pain. "Amelia, I can't see," she sobbed. My heart lurched. The carefully constructed facade began to crumble. It was Jason's parents' anniversary dinner, a crucial event for solidifying my place in their family. But Chloe needed me. A choice had to be made. "You're abandoning my family," Jason fumed, his face contorted with anger as I walked in. His rage was the catalyst. I calmly said, "I am prioritizing my own." He scoffed, but I had reached my limit. I revealed Carmichael Creative's true revenue, the investment properties, and the blind trust. His face drained of color, disbelief warring with a dawning understanding. The moment was potent. He was left speechless. 2 weeks later, Chloe, thankfully recovering well, insisted on a family barbecue. The invitation, delivered with a forced cheerfulness from my mother, felt like a summons. This was it. The reckoning. I prepared meticulously. New but understated dress. Polished but comfortable shoes. A mental arsenal of calm responses for every potential jab. The backyard buzzed with activity. Children shrieked, chasing each other around the inflatable pool. Uncles argued loudly over the grill, smoke billowing into the air. Jason's family, predictably, was there, hovering near my mother like vultures circling carrion. Aunt Carol's eyes, usually narrowed with judgment, widened in poorly disguised curiosity. Even Jason's brother, previously indifferent, offered a tentative nod. Status, it seemed, had shifted. I scanned the scene, a ghost of the past superimposed on the present. Laughter used to sting, now it was just noise. "Amelia, dear, you look well," Aunt Carol began, her voice dripping with insincerity. I cut her off smoothly, mentioning a recent charity gala I'd hosted. The name of the foundation casually dropped. Her jaw tightened. The subtle power play landed perfectly. My mother, bless her heart, attempted to steer the conversation towards safer territory, but the air was thick with unspoken questions. I saw my father watching me from across the yard, a flicker of pride in his eyes that I hadn't seen in years. He raised his glass in a silent toast. Approval at last. Then Jason arrived, his face a mask of forced charm. He pulled me aside, away from the prying eyes. "Amelia, we need to talk," he began, his voice low and urgent. I raised an eyebrow, waiting. "About everything." The moment of truth was here. "Sterling Ventures just made VP." He beamed, expecting praise. "Big promotion." I smiled serenely. "How wonderful, Jason." A breath. "Carmichael Creative closed the global tech deal this morning." His face crumpled. "Global Tech, the billion-dollar company." "That's the one," I said, casually adjusting my sunglasses. My calm demeanor contrasted sharply with his escalating panic. "But how, that's impossible," he stammered, his gaze darting around as if searching for an escape. He looked like he'd been slapped. "Impossible, only if you believe my ambitions are cute hobbies." My voice was soft, but the words cut like steel. He opened and closed his mouth, but no sound came out. The shock rendered him mute. I continued, watching the color drain from his face. "Carmichael Creative's revenue last quarter alone exceeded Sterling Ventures' annual profits, Jason." His eyes widened, pupils dilating. He actually stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a garden gnome. "The blind trust, it's worth several million. I own 2 commercial properties downtown, and I'm funding scholarships for underprivileged students in Mom's name." The details, delivered with clinical precision, were the final blow. He stared at me, dumbfounded like a deer caught in headlights. But why didn't you tell me? Would you have listened?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. I don't understand," he finally managed, his voice barely a whisper. "You never tried to." A final breath. "I'm done, Jason," Aunt Carol swooped in. "Amelia, darling, about Jason's future," she paused, fishing. "Perhaps a small investment in his new role." I kept my gaze steady. "Aunt Carol, I'm focusing my investments on causes that truly inspire me." Silence. "Jason can apply for a small business loan." Jason's mother chimed in. "He always spoke so highly of you." I turned, my expression unreadable. "Did he?" My silence was a shield. I was not obligated to respond. My power was my own. My sister Chloe smiled. "You're not laughing now, are you?" "Never been better," I said, walking away. As I walked away, phone buzzed, a text from my lawyer. Sterling Ventures takeover finalized. Jason's father, the CEO, had leveraged his stock options to cover gambling debts, a fact I de-learned months ago. I bought up the debt, quietly acquiring controlling interest. Sterling Ventures, the source of Jason's pride, the symbol of their family's power, was now mine. Technically Carmichael Creative. I turned back, a serene smile gracing my lips. "One more thing," I announced, my voice carrying across the yard. All eyes turned to me. Aunt Carol's mouth hung open, a half-chewed potato salad clinging precariously to her fork. Jason stood frozen, a statue of disbelief. My mother looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite decipher. "I forgot to mention," I continued, my voice steady, "that Carmichael Creative recently acquired a controlling interest in Sterling Ventures." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Gasps, coughs, and sputtering of disbelief. Jason's father's face transformed, confusion evolving into stark horror. Jason's knees nearly buckled. His mother reached for him. "Acquired," Jason stammered, his voice cracking. "But how?" I simply smiled, a picture of calm composure. "Let's just say I saw a good investment opportunity and I took it." The silence was deafening, broken only by the chirping of crickets in the distance. The scent of barbecue suddenly seemed stale, replaced by the acrid smell of burnt pride. Chloe snickered. My father beamed. Aunt Carol dropped her fork. Weeks turned into months. The initial shock gave way to a flurry of desperate attempts at reconciliation, mostly from Jason's family, now keenly aware of my influence. Their calls and carefully worded emails went largely unanswered. I responded selectively to Jason's younger brother, Mark, who genuinely seemed regretful for past behaviors. The others, their opportunism was too blatant. My grandmother's old house, once a cage, felt like a sanctuary. Sunlight streamed through the newly renovated windows, illuminating walls painted in cheerful colors. The scent of lavender replaced the musty odor of mothballs. I replaced the old car with a vintage convertible. I started running in the mornings and felt like I could breathe again. I slept without anxiety for the first time in years. Looking back, I realized that the years spent concealing my success had inadvertently taught me invaluable lessons about resilience and self-reliance. I knew now that my worth wasn't dependent on external validation, but on the strength of my own convictions. True freedom wasn't just about financial independence, it was about the courage to live authentically, on my own terms. Power was not a tool to dominate, but the ability to uplift. In the end, the most satisfying reward was the unwavering support of my sister and the quiet pride in my father's eyes. The garden I planted with my grandmother's seeds bloomed, filling the air with fragrance of her legacy. I finally knew who I was. Authenticity is its own revenge. Relatable, this victory's yours too. Find your power, own your story. Share if you agree. Success, not revenge, is the sweeter reward. Find your power.